Welcome everyone to Serving the Tea with Dan Sky and Enos Williams,
a podcast dedicated to get to know players of the GLTA community.
Please like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Our guest today is one of the most colorful and interesting players within the tour. A very warm, kind, and friendly soul. He has been within the GLTA community for years. How many? Wait, and you will find out. Let's see what else we can learn about him today. Please welcome Bradley Lynn Jansen.
Thank you very, very much for having me on the show, for the interview, and thank you so much for the very, very flattering introduction. Very kind.
Pleasure.
Hello, dear Brad, and thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself to our audience. How was your childhood? Where are you coming from, and where are you based now?
Well, thank you very much for having me, Dan and Enos. I am Bradley, and I've been around for a while. And I was born way back in the day in Cape Town, South Africa. And that's where my family is. That's where I grew up. And that's where I had my first gay experiences and also had my coming out. Yeah, I grew up in Cape Town, and then I actually moved to Switzerland, to Zurich, where I've been ever since. It's now been 25 years. I came to Switzerland for 2 years and thought for a postgraduate study and thought that would be it. And it ended up to be my permanent residence. So I live in Zurich. I love the city. It is a beautiful spot to be, and it's a beautiful part of the world to be in. It is beautiful, it is central, and it allows me to visit as many GLTA tours as I possibly can. Back to my family in South Africa, I come from a very large family. My grandparents had 13 children. So you can imagine all the cousins, dozens and dozens of cousins that I had growing up with. And we had a ball of a time. We are a very close-knit family. So my aunts and uncles would do family gatherings, visit each other, school holidays. We were always together. So there were always dozens of cousins. We could play, we could fight, we could do whatever children do. And the family is close to this very day. I go back home very often, nowadays 2, 3 to even 4 times a year. I'm going back next week, in fact, after the tournament in Nuremberg to see the family. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your tennis beginnings? How did you start playing tennis? Why did you choose tennis? How did that go?
That is actually also a very interesting thing. You know, as I said, I'm from Cape Town. In South Africa, tennis is a very elite sport. It's not a sport that is very common amongst even the middle class, really, because the infrastructure is largely private. So it's very expensive to play tennis in South Africa, which makes it a sport for the wealthy people. So I never learned tennis back in South Africa. It is when I came to Switzerland that I came here to study, and of course it was a new country, a new place, and I didn't know anybody. And I was trying to find ways to connect to other people and also to connect to gay people. So one of the ways, I'm also a singer, was to join um, the opera choir to get into that community. And the other big, valuable connection was the organization, the Gay Sport Zurich, and they have divisions for different sports, and tennis is one of them. And that's how I got interested and thought, okay, well, I can't play tennis. I need to take lessons. And I started taking lessons. And after about 6 months, I approached the sports section, the tennis section of Gay Sport, and asked if I could join. And they asked me to come to see if I could play, if I could hit a ball, and I could fairly okay at the time. And that's when it all started. And that was back in the year 1998, 1999, something like that. Yeah.
Your T-shirt says 1892.
That's the year of my birth, darling.
Okay.
So, would you like to share your coming out story?
My coming out story. Well, I'm from a generation where we came out quite late, really. So I noticed that something was queer about me probably when I was about 14 or 15. Before that, I was playing with dolls. At my time when I was a kid, Dallas was a very popular series on television. And we were actually, and I can remember this very well. So we were playing Dallas, and and everybody, all the boys were fighting to be JR and Bobby, and I was always fighting to be Pamela Ewing, and I was Pamela Ewing, and so there were always these couples, Pamela and Bobby, and we would kiss and do everything, and acting out Dallas. So, but it wasn't. I wasn't gay for that matter. I was just a funny guy. Um, so yeah, in my teenage years, I started looking at magazines and rather looked at the underwear models as opposed to the ladies. I was looking at the guys, and that's when I started noticing. Um, I like what I see. But my first proper gay experience was really only after my 18th birthday when I finished high school and was going on to the university. So that was sort of my coming out, and the coming out was very private, really, because I didn't share it with any of my school friends. In school, I was a straight guy. And it was when I left school and started university, I was looking um, for a gay group of other gay people. And that's why I sort of came out. It was only much later that I came out to my family, really. And I don't know why I could hit myself for it because they were all for it from the beginning. Very supportive and very open about it. And yeah, I would
Well,
do it differently if I could.
yeah, well, thank you for sharing the story. We all can relate, to our coming out stories, and one had a different path, but we are gladly to hear that your story can help others, but in a way, it's also a relatively happy coming out story, right?
That is true, and I do appreciate that. Today I appreciate that even more because, it's not the same for everybody. I came out into an environment where, although I come from a very religious family, but lucky for me, it is a religion that preaches love, above hate, and love whatever that love is. And that is what my family lives, and they were very supportive and of me, and later on of my boyfriends and everything. But I do realize that's not the same for everybody, and that is why it is I treasure the GLTA tour so much. And also here in Zurich, we have the Gay Sports Organization, because these are places where people can come out safely and in a community and with the support that they need, if they are not getting that from home or elsewhere, or just to give people a positive impulse and a positive feeling about themselves, and the confidence to then go out and come out to everybody else. Because even in today's times, we think we live in modern times, but There's still work to be done. We've come a very long way, and I think a lot has become a lot easier for most of us, thank God. But some of us are still struggling. And in a country like Switzerland, we have great opportunities and great privileges, and we should cherish those and look after that and exercise our freedoms, and at the same time think of countries and of people where it is still very difficult and where they don't have the same freedoms and opportunities we have.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. So you mentioned, right, you came out basically to yourself when you were around 18, and then later on you had a talk with a family. How important was tennis in your coming out story? Or let's say probably it made it even stronger, right? You start relating to same people, a safe community, as you're mentioning, right? Back here in Zurich, we have these groups where one can feel safe and the environment. We would like to know how important, as I said, was the sport for you.
Well, as I said before, I started playing tennis quite late in my life. I had my coming out in South Africa when I was still when I started university at the end of school, going on to university, and so that was my coming out. I had my first long relationship in South Africa, and that's when I came to Switzerland afterwards, and started tennis. And tennis was important in the sense that it gave me a new community to come into, this tennis community. And it turned out that my best friends and came from this tennis group, because it's a very social group, and we get along very well. And we don't just get along on court, we also started doing things off court. And my circle of friends was built from the tennis group, for which I'm tremendously grateful, because it was the source of power, of family, of friendship that I could just tap into. And that's why I feel strongly about keeping this forum and expanding it and allowing other people to have the same opportunity that I did coming into this group, new or people just coming from the countryside into the city. It's a similar situation. But then there's this group you can tap into, make friends, play tennis, be social, and have a community and have a new family. And for me, it was double. It has a double meaning in the sense that I'm very far removed from my family in South Africa, and this was my new family. So I'm very grateful for gay tennis in that sense.
Right. So focusing on 9 to 5 for a minute, what does Bradley do career-wise?
So I work in the classic music field. I work with symphony orchestras. I tour orchestras in Europe and in Asia for concert tours. I also act as an organizer for classic music festivals. So I would take over the organization, starting from the whole artist logistics, getting the artists to the venue, the hotels. We have, employing the staff to then look after these people, and all the technical side of the stage, the lighting, the instruments, and of course the financial side of contracts, negotiations, and all of that. So I work in the classic music field.
That sounds very interesting. Did you notice any skills or talents that you can transfer from tennis to your career and the other way around?
Um, that's an interesting question. I haven't thought of it like that before. But I suppose I suppose yes, because in my job, you are in stress situations very often. You have to be able to act in the heat of the moment because you're dealing with a concert that has to start on time with 100 musicians that need to be, each and everyone need to be in their place on time. We often have live TV broadcasts. We have divas, not all the time, but sometimes you need to negotiate. You need to be able to get them to perform what you need them to perform at the time that they need to be there. So you have all of that stress, and I suppose in a match you need to prepare and you need to prepare mentally. And I think some of that you can transfer into a match situation as well. Um, Dealing with the pressure and the stress and keeping calm and being yourself. And that's, I suppose it's one of my strengths really, is that I do keep a cool head and I do keep calm when the storm comes up. People look at me to be their rock and to be their source of calm and collective and collected um, thoughts. So I suppose I could actually take more of that into my tennis, to be very honest, because I do sometimes become very hectic.
Well, but as you're mentioning, right, I think we all have witnessed you putting all those skills on display. We know you're a fighter. We know you love a great comeback, and you have pulled so many comebacks, on your long career. So yeah, moving back a little bit to your tennis career, who is Bradley during a GLTA tournament?
So Bradley has an alter ego called Samantha, and Samantha she just comes out when it's time for GLTA tournaments or when it's time for um, big events or for parties and things. She's a party girl. She's a socialite, and she's a tennis player. So Bradley, in the beginning, Bradley used to play a lot of tournaments himself. And then there was a time when there was sort of a crossover, a hybrid Bradley Samantha thingy. And since a few years, tournaments have been played exclusively by Samantha. And Bradley has to say, I'm actually quite proud of the way Bradley went with Samantha and the GLTA tour, because Bradley was one of the very first, if not the first one, to dare to wear a dress on court. And I started doing that consistently, and people would compliment me. And today, I'm very, very touched and very proud to say that Samantha is a bit of a role model for others coming onto the tour. And people come up to her and say that she inspired them also to wear dresses and or to just be different or to be themselves. And I mean, in the beginning, if I think back, yes, it does take courage to be different and to go out there and don something different. And, sometimes these tournaments are in very public places where it's not just the friends and the gays in the community, but you also have the broader public there. And it takes courage to then still be yourself. But I did it, and others are doing it, and I'm absolutely delighted to see today that so many of us are donning dresses and are having so much fun just being different, if you want to call it, or being yourself, or just wearing a dress for the sake of it. It's fun.
Definitely is. I can attest to that. However, I'm sorry, but we're
Having
having
some technical difficulties.
we're breaking up. Excuse me, who's this? And what are you doing here?
I'm Samantha, and I have an interview with two very cute tennis GLTA officials.
Sure.
Okay, Samantha, nice meeting you. So we would like to know what's Samantha's life about.
What Samantha's life is about. Samantha's life is about glamour, it's about style, it's about fun. Samantha doesn't work. Samantha doesn't have to do anything that is strenuous in life. She has a brother to do all of that. So Samantha travels, she goes to parties, she buys dresses, she looks stunning, she plays tennis, she does the GRTA tour. That's what Samantha's all about.
Sounds interesting. Well, I did already have the pleasure to meet Samantha. I'm sure that so did Dan. But I'm wondering about the other members of our community. How would you introduce yourself to them?
Samantha is very outgoing. She likes to talk to people. She likes to engage. She likes to be social. She does steal the spotlight every now and again. But I think Samantha's all about being fun, being relaxed, and trying to make other people having fun and being relaxed.
So
Around.
it's more of being true to yourself and true to your instincts, and also just to enjoy life.
I wouldn't. I think it's to be a bit more daring than my host, Bradley.
Right.
I think Samantha goes a bit further. She's the one that can drive things a bit more to the edge. I think she has more courage. She has more through her being and her fellowship and her persona. I think she has a bit more power.
Definitely.
Right. As Enos was mentioning, I also met Samantha on tour. But every time we see her on tour, we are wondering whether is it a tennis tournament or is a fashion show. There are dresses, there are weeks, day off, travels, a lot of money involved and spent. We would like to know how does Samantha does that, how she manages that, and how does she participate to so many tournaments throughout the year?
So Samantha does about, I think, 8 to 10 tournaments a year. Now, one thing you need to know about Samantha is that looks is very important. Style is very important. You have to look the part to be the part. So, I mean, she does strive to play perfect tennis. She likes the challenge, but her appearance on court is just as important because she does have a reputation to upkeep. She regularly wins trophies, unfortunately, not for her tennis achievements, but as best dressed or as Miss Congeniality, that kind of thing. So she does have, I think, also a duty to keep on impressing, keep on stunning people, and herself to a certain extent, because she's been on tour for quite a while, and everybody knows Samantha. People actually look forward to having Samantha on tour, which is really, really flattering and really touching to know that there's a following, that there's actually a little bit of a fan club. So Samantha takes it quite seriously, her role on the GLTA tour, so she doesn't want to disappoint. So, as I said, she doesn't work. She has the time. She doesn't need to think about money because she gets it. And she just buys her clothes and buys her outfits, have them made, and tries to look the part and try to look stunning, and also just tries not to disappoint people.
That's fantastic. So I just had a quick peek on Samantha's Instagram. 20,000 followers does mean something. Over 20,000 followers. I would like to ask you, how did Samantha came to be? When was she born? And what was the reason for her to come out?
Samantha was born a little bit as a joke. We were with my circle of friends here in Zurich. We once decided, and this was way back in, I think about the year 2003, 2004, something like that.
Oh, she's only 20.
Samantha is, well, she was born a big girl, let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, a couple of friends, we decided, and it was Alvin was one of my best friends at the time, and it was actually him and myself, Bradley. I said, let's do a drag party. And this was our very first drag party, and it was really about 2003, 2004. And it was done at my place. We were about 20 people, so we invited everybody, and everybody. I had my own wig, which I ordered for the event. Alvin did as well, and then everybody else came either without wigs or they had wigs that they borrowed, or some, carnival wigs that they put on. And we had dresses and stuff. And we had this bundle of clothes, and everybody could mix and match and try things on. And there we were. And that was, I suppose, the birth of Samantha. Back then, she was not as refined, or she was not as routine in the whole being a lady and being a woman thing, but it was loads of fun, and that was really the starting point, because from there we decided, okay, let's do it again, and let's do it again, and you become more daring, and okay, now let's do the first outing, let's go out to friend houses, dressed up in drag, which we did. And then, the next step was going to a disco. And that's how it all came about. And then, yeah, sooner or later, Samantha had a profile, and, she took on a life of her own. And I could fairly say 20 years later, there she is on Instagram with 20,000 followers, and has a regular life, really.
I bet all our audience appreciates Samantha, and we also appreciate your longevity. So speaking on that, you've been for quite a while on the tour, right? And if somebody new would like to join the community, the tournament, what piece of advice would you give it, and why somebody should join GLTA?
I've, as we know, been on the tour for quite a long time. I mean, I could almost be part of the furniture of the GLTA tour. And it is a family, it is a community. The tour gives one a sense of belonging. I look forward to each and every time that I go to a tournament, because it's like seeing family members again. There are people like yourselves, like Ines, like Dan, that also regularly tour. And, we see each other in different cities. And first of all, it's coming back home to the family and feeling that you belong somewhere and that you belong to people. And it is just a fantastic way to socialize with people in a different way than just going to a disco or having a grinder date or meeting in a sauna or in a club. This is a social setting, it's a sportive setting, so it's a sporty, social, active way of meeting like-minded people in a safe environment where you can be yourself, where you are encouraged to be yourself, where people actually do care about you. And I think one of the things that I most appreciate about the tour and about going to these tournaments is that, for once, even if it's for a limited period of time, you are at a tournament with 120, 150, whatever number of like-minded people in a safe space, and you are actually in a majority, which doesn't often happen in our daily lives. We walk about the city, going about our lives, always be in a minority, always have to fight our way through, maybe, or have to explain ourselves, or watch ourselves, or always be fighting against the big majority. And here you have a setting where we are the majority and we can flip the whole thing around and just be ourselves and be happy and be daring and not be judgmental or not be judged, and just going for it. And we can have that at our tournaments. So I would encourage anybody that hasn't experienced life on the GLTA tour to come to a tournament and feel this sense of community, the sense of family, the sense of freedom. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I have a few questions to Samantha, actually.
Please.
Exploring the drag culture and the drag scene that has been popularized by RuPaul Drag Race and other platforms.
Sure.
How do you refer to Samantha as? Is it a drag queen? Is it a drag act? Are you turning to drag, or are you becoming a drag queen when Samantha comes out of literally the closet with all the sequins, gowns, etc.?
That is a very interesting question that for myself also I found difficult to answer, because we in society, we like to label things, we like to put people into boxes so that we know exactly that is that, he's a he, she's a she, they are a them. And we have the drag queens here, we have the trans men there, we have the drag kings here. And with Samantha, I found it difficult, and I discovered that when I created a profile for Samantha on dating platforms. How does she describe herself? Because I don't see Samantha as a classic drag queen, because Samantha is not an over the top, the big hair, the big makeup, the typical drag queen appearance. She's not like that. She's also not trying to transition into a trans woman, because I like to see Samantha as a character I can slip into and slip back out of with ease, and have the two be interchangeable. So I like to refer to Samantha as a female impersonator, because I think that's what describes what I'm doing closest, because I try to be feminine when I'm Samantha. Um, of course, Samantha also does hosting of events. She is comparing, and then there's a bit more of her. She would wear an evening gown, but she tries to keep it stylish and feminine. And I think I prefer to refer to myself as a female impersonator when I'm Samantha.
Well, thank you for that.
Well,
Does that
yeah,
answer the question?
Definitely.
yeah. I mean, it's a very complex answer, but it also gives, you know, a little bit more clearance to other people, and it's also I would say an advice, and also an invitation of do what you feel like, you know, do and be who you want to be. No
And
labels.
absolutely, because I think there are different degrees of being anything really. You can what I most admire about the young people, the very new generation of people growing up these days, is they don't really feel the need to categorize the way my generation does. And that's really quite liberating. People are just the way they are, and they don't necessarily want to be called a this or that. They come, they appear, and they do what they want, and that's them, just that. And don't label me, just accept me for what I am and who I am and how I'm behaving. So I mean, Samantha doesn't mind labels. I mean, I'm from a generation where we had that, and I mean, I'm used to it, and I know some people find it easier to deal with things when it's organized in their mind in some sort of a way. Um, but um, what I would encourage people to do is be themselves to whatever degree they want to be. If you want to drag, it doesn't mean you need to do as much as possible, as little as possible. Do what you are comfortable with. I mean, a very, very good example is also Agnes. I mean, she does marvelous things. We can also go into ask her how she would like to refer to herself, but she's a fantastic personality, and a totally different personality from Samantha. And there are other people that prefer to, or that transition or aspire to be um, something different. I think we need to leave people the space to be who they are and to the degree that they want to, and enjoy ourselves just the way we are, and appreciate each other for that.
That's a fantastic
Yeah,
message.
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. The advice is out there, and the encouragement is also. So moving forward, as we mentioned before, many of us had the honor, you know, to be around Samantha, travel together, you know, great memories. So how is Samantha's schedule looking for this year? And where one that did not have the pleasure to meet Samantha can see her? What are the tournaments that she is planning to be part of it and honor us with her presence?
Absolutely. I am going to the Easter tournament in Nuremberg called the Diamond Cup, I believe, and that's coming up next week. It's over the Easter weekend. After that, I shall be in Valencia for the tournament there, and it's going to be a massive tournament. I think they have 200 people playing there, so I'm very excited. It's a new tournament, and I would love to meet anybody new. And people just come say hi to Samantha now that you know who she is. After Valencia, I'm going to Sardinia to do the tournament organized by a very good friend of mine here from Zurich, Nick. That will be the first time for me in Sardinia, so I'm very much looking forward to that tournament. Then I have entered the tournaments of Stockholm in summer, I think it's in July. I shall be going to the London tournament. It's a grass tournament in August. And Portugal, the Algarve in September. Um, yeah, those are the tournaments I've sort of registered for now. I'm not saying that the list is final or finite. I might have time to squeeze in one or two more. Let's see how it goes.
Brilliant. I would like to go a little, like a small step back again to the drag persona, female impersonator, because I remember for the longest time, and that's my personal flaw, I honestly could not remember Bradley's name. However, Samantha's name came into my mind instantly. And I was struggling a little bit with how to refer to you, whether it would be Samantha, whether it would be Brad, depending on your outfit or your appearance on a particular moment.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, how to refer to you on tour. Does it matter which name we use? And what are your pronouns?
So I'm very easy. I don't mind. I mean, look, what I would suggest to people is when I'm dressed as Samantha, refer to me as Samantha and she, her. And when I'm dressed as Bradley, as a male, call me Bradley, he and him. I absolutely don't mind if people call me Samantha either way or Bradley either way, because both are me. I am both. We all are the same. We both love each other and we share everything.
Lovely. Well, to wrap this very interesting interview, I will give the honor for the first time to my colleague, Ines, to play a very quick tiebreaker.
Yes.
A tiebreaker?
No
Indeed.
warm-up, no warm-up, no preparation. A round of quick questions to Samantha. I expect you to answer fast and honestly.
Okay.
Here we go. What's your favorite app?
Tinder.
Nice. What's your favorite current song?
Buble, Home.
Good. Movie that you can always go back to.
Oh, there are plenty. Slapstick-wise, I love Miss Undercover. And then there are classics like The Color Purple, Forrest Gump, Babette's Feast. I mean, I love movies.
Nice. Single or partnered?
Single.
Top, bottom, versatile, or size?
Very versatile. Very, very versatile.
Very versatile. And what would you describe your favorite tennis shot?
My forehand.
Forehand. Perfect. I hope it wasn't painful. Thank you for the tiebreaker. And over to you, Dan.
We loved your energy, and we loved how fast you were prepared, to play those points like one playing a tiebreaker. But before saying goodbye, we have some homework for you. We know how interesting, absolutely, there's homework, because as one can say, we never lose, or we win, or we learn. So we are very curious to learn about our GLTA players, and the homework would be, as honest as you can get, submit a question, write as a question or multiple questions to fellow players that you are curious about, and we will do our best to address the question while they get their turn to be interviewed.
Got it. There are a few I can think of.
We definitely thought you have some questions.
That would be fun.
Fantastic. We're looking forward to your questions and at the same time suggestions for upcoming guests. Meanwhile, we're wrapping this up. Thank you very much, Samantha, for joining us today. Thank you very much, Bradley, for letting Samantha shine as well. And looking forward to another episode with another special guest.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. It was lovely speaking to you both, and it was nice sharing my thoughts on the GLTA tour. And thanks for having Samantha as your guest today. It was an honor and a privilege.
I hope you had a blast, because we definitely did. And we wish you all the best, and we can't wait to reunite with Samantha, Bradley on tour.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.